Welcome to Alpha Recap, your quick post-market wrap from stockalpha.ai. We're two hosts, one conversation, and a rundown of what moved markets today. As always, if you have questions, you can reach us at stockalpha.ai.
Great to be here. We had a pretty theme-driven session. Balance sheet moves, enterprise AI momentum, and some niche but catalytic activity in health and environmental areas.
Yep, 3 threads that stitched the day together. So, let's jump in with the biggest market mover, that asset sale headline that sparked a rally.
Right, and the number that really caught our eye was $292.5 million. That was the asset sale headline that sent the company's shares higher.
Big move. The surge suggested traders were pricing in de-risking. Think debt paydown, buybacks, or dividends. But here's the kicker. The company didn't disclose who bought the assets, what exactly sold, or how the cash would be used.
So, yeah, that tracks. Without the buyer ID or use of proceeds, the market was guessing. Analysts tend to treat these big asset sale headlines as a catalyst for reevaluating valuation multiples, especially for firms that look cash-constrained.
And that lack of detail is exactly what keeps volatility up for the next day or two. Filings or press releases will matter here, not what anyone expected.
Another crisp corporate finance example from today. A smaller biotech cleared about $16 million of European investment bank debt, and the shares jumped about 18% afterward.
That was classic deleveraging optics. When a company wipes out a chunk of debt, refinancing risk falls, and perceived cash runway improves. And for smaller, event-driven names, that can be huge.
Exactly. I mean, when you step back and look at this, it's a reminder that capital structure moves can be as market-moving as product news, especially when credit conditions are tighter.
And we saw private capital flows too. A consumer wellness brand closed a growth round to scale distribution of a creatine gummy product. The deal underscored that private money is still chasing differentiated consumer formats.
Right. The take there was less about immediate public market impact and more about sector health. Venture and growth capital still backing CPG innovations like functional gummies.
Quick reactions. Big move. Interesting.
Okay, on to tech. And a natural transition. Microsoft expanded its Copilot family again, rolling out Copilot Cowork to early access customers.
Product momentum was the narrative engine today. Copilot Cowork was an early access push, which signals continued R&D and go-to-market investment in enterprise AI productivity.
Yeah, and the market liked the narrative, but there were zero adoption or pricing metrics in the announcement. So the near-term revenue impact was ambiguous. Product momentum without immediate monetization numbers.
Right. And the other thing is, these early access rollouts are often used as case studies. If pilot customers show measurable productivity gains, that can speed up procurement cycles and eventually translate into cloud consumption.
Analysts note that product rollouts tend to come before contract wins, so we'll be watching for customer case studies and any linkage to the company's cloud services in follow-up comments.
Short reactions. Makes sense.
Switching gears to health and biotech, Wells Fargo kicked off coverage of a mid-cap oncology name with an overweight start. No price target in the brief, but analyst starts often pulled in institutional attention.
Analyst initiations can create windows where volume and interest pick up, especially if a follow-up research note drops a price target or outlines conviction drivers.
There was also a deal where an IP firm agreed to take an equity stake in a medtech developer in exchange for IP intelligence services. That kind of equity for service arrangement can meaningfully extend a small company's runway without an immediate cash raise.
And again, those are the kinds of capital structure moves that change execution risk without new clinical data. So the market often reprices based on financing mechanics alone.
Quick hit. Patent-backed support can be a pragmatic way to bridge development milestones.
Let's touch industrials and environmental themes. One company demoed next-gen EV charging cables at a trade expo coming up in Las Vegas, aiming at fleet and public charging demand.
And separately, a market research note projected the PFAS waste management market growing to about $3 billion by 2031. That's a signal that remediation and related services could become meaningful, recurring markets as regulation tightens.
Which matters because fleet electrification and remediation often share the same public customers: municipal budgets, state programs, federal infrastructure dollars. Momentum in one procurement area can cross-pollinate the other.
Right. And the practical takeaway? Watch for expo announcements, pre-orders, and any early contract wins that would move the needle for suppliers in charging hardware or remediation services.
Short reaction. Good to note.
Internationally, we saw clinical and research showcases. A dental device company had strong practitioner turnout at a UK conference, and a Beijing tech forum highlighted major scientific achievements. Conferences like these are early flags for future partnerships or licensing deals.
Those events don't change earnings overnight, but they do set the stage for commercialization pathways. So follow-up releases, naming partners, or pilots will be key.
Let's do a quick rapid-fire round of the smaller briefs we watched today. IP for equity support for MedTech, the EV Expo demos, and that consumer wellness funding to expand omnichannel distribution.
And a reminder, a few things moved on headlines but lacked quantification. Create Wellness did announce growth capital, but the funding amount wasn't disclosed. Same with the IP stake size, undisclosed. So market impact will stay muted until valuation details or commercial milestones appear.
Patterns we saw. Deleveraging and balance sheet repairs produced positive headline moves. Product rollouts in big tech continued to dominate narrative. And infrastructure and regulation-driven niches, EV charging and PFAS remediation, kept drawing attention.
And I'll add this. In a higher rate environment, visible cash generation or debt reduction was treated as de-risking. Analysts pointed to that as a reason for the outsized moves we saw on asset sales and debt payoffs.
Totally. So what are the real things to watch in the next day or two? Company filings on that big asset sale, buyer, tax treatment, and planned uses of proceeds. That will tell the market whether this is debt reduction, shareholder distribution, or strategic reinvestment.
Also, watch for any customer case studies or pricing disclosures tied to the Copilot Cowork rollout, and a full research note from the analyst who initiated coverage of that oncology name. If a price target shows up, that could pull in more institutional volume.
Don't forget, follow up on the debt payoff mechanics for the smaller biotech, specifically updated cash runway and operating guidance. And watch the ACT Expo for supplier announcements and any procurement notices tied to PFAS cleanup contracts.
Bottom line, today was ruled by capital reallocation and product momentum rather than any fresh macro print. A lot of stories lacked full quantification, so meaningful market implications hinge on the follow-ups we just mentioned.
Analysts note that language like signals, suggests, and momentum indicates describes market reactions, not investment advice. For listeners, this recap was informational only.
Investment disclaimer. This episode provided general market commentary and did not recommend buying, selling, or holding any security. Consult a licensed financial professional for personalized advice.
So, final takeaways in 3 quick points. 1. That nearly $300 million asset sale headline was the day's largest mover, but details will matter. 2. Debt cleanups can materially change risk perceptions, as we saw with the $16 million payoff and the 18% move. And 3. Product rollouts in enterprise AI remain narrative drivers, but monetization is still to be proven.
Concise and useful. If you're tracking any of these names, look for the filings and customer announcements over the next 48 hours. Those will be the real catalysts.
If you have questions about anything we covered today, head to stockalpha.ai, where you can ask us directly and we'll answer live. For more market analysis and insights, visit stockalpha.ai.
Thanks for listening to Alpha Recap. Catch us next market close for another digest. Bye for now.